Okay, this next item is text elements should have a reasonable contrast ratio. So if we click on this, we can go to these different elements. I'm going to scroll to this one. So this top one here is our account link here. Now what we can do is jump to this element by right-clicking and going to Reveal in Elements panel. And the Accessibility Tools gives us another panel over here, Accessibility Properties. And we can see some information on the contrast ratio. So the contrast ratio gives us a number that we can use to measure the difference in color between the foreground color and the background color. You can see the foreground color here is this gray, the background is white, and the contrast ratio between these is 4.29. Now, according to the WCAG guidelines, there are 3 levels with which we can meet the guidelines. They increase in accessibility and also sometimes in difficulty in implementing. The first level is an A level, the second level is an AA level, and the third level is AAA. So the most accessible websites will get the AAA rating, the next accessible will get AA, and just basic accessibility will get A. And if we go to the WCAG guidelines, each one of the guidelines indicates what level you achieve by meeting that requirement. So the bypass blocks is a level A, which means that it's a basic requirement of accessibility. Whereas if we did a search for AAA, you'd see some things that are kind of more advanced. So for example, information about the user's location within a set of web pages is available. That's like using a sitemap and adding breadcrumbs. So achieving AAA status isn't impossible, but it does take some more work. Back over here, we're looking at the contrast ratio for our site, and it's giving us suggestions of colors that we could use instead of the color that we're using to achieve AA and AAA status for accessibility. Now this contrast ratio, 4.29, generally isn't terrible, but if we look at the WCAG guidelines, let's do a quick search for contrast. It says the minimum ratio is at least 4.5. And we're almost there with 4.29, but not quite. We could bump that gray to just a slightly darker version to get the AA level contrast. Now, as a front-end developer, this is usually not going to be our call because we're taking a design and adjusting the colors to fix contrast ratios isn't always something that we have the freedom to do. However, this is something that we can talk to the designer about. And the more that they understand about contrast ratios, the more they can design for something that will be more accessible.